So here's the thing nobody tells you when you start a business. You can build something awesome and still be miserable. I'm Pam, and welcome to the Cash Flow Podcast, where we're going to talk about money stuff in plain English, just like we always do. And today we're talking about a question that most founders don't actually ask themselves, and they just end up going down one path or the other. And they're ending up basically exhausted, broke, or both, just because they didn't address this one question that at some point in your business cycle is definitely going to come up for you. So we want to dive into that today and give you an action plan to keep you out of that pit. And before you roll your eyes and think, hey, this is some kind of woo-woo thing, finding your why, I'm calling bullshit, because this is a cash flow question and we really want to dial in. Scaling and lifestyle businesses are very different, and they require very different financial strategies, team structures, different definitions of success, and they are very different in lifestyle and how you live for the owner. And so I really want to jump into this because I have a lot of the clients that are at that break point where it's now time to decide, is this a lifestyle business or am I going to scale it? And I think lifestyle businesses, frankly, get a bit of a bash or have a bit of a bad, like put a bad taste in people's mouths. Like it feels lazy, or it feels like you're not doing everything you can do. And the truth of the matter is that our value, our wealth, our true wealth is a balance of our financial wealth, our happiness, our energy. And for everybody, that triangle balances differently. So looking at it and saying, hey, what do I really want, is just one of those things that I've found really helps entrepreneurs, my clients anyway, go, oh yeah, I really do want to follow this particular plan. So most founders actually think they have to scale. They think that's a given. Hey, I've got a successful company, therefore I have to scale. You listen to YouTubes, you listen to podcasts, and it's, how to 10x your revenue, how to grow and scale your business into a legacy. And that's all well and good, but it ignores the other option, which is a lifestyle business. In fact, I probably should launch an actual podcast on how to build and maintain a lifestyle business, because it is one of those things. It's a real alternative. I'm 60 years old. I've been a CFO for 15 of them, 20 of them now. And I can tell you that some of the happiest business owners I know have selected that $2 million lifestyle business instead of scaling it. And I can tell you that some of the most miserable business owners I've known have gone ahead and scaled that business to 20 or 30 or 40 million, and it's just not what they want at the end. Okay, so let's jump in. What is a lifestyle business? The bottom line is you make good money. Call it $200K to $2 million in revenue is kind of your top line. You control your time. You set an objective that you're going to control your time. However you want to spend it, you're going to spend it. And you have a really small, efficient team. Or it's just you and maybe a couple of contractors. That could be the case. Your business funds your life without consuming it. In the old corporate days, we used to say, I work to play, not the opposite. Okay? So this is kind of the lifestyle business. And an example is kind of a solo consultant who's billing $300,000 a year, but they're working 30 hours a week and taking 8 weeks of vacation, and they're on their own clock. Okay? So that's kind of a lifestyle business. Don't look down at it. That is a great freaking life for people. Okay? So that's something I want to emphasize. So what's a scalable business? Also a great alternative if it's for you. It's built to grow beyond you by intent. Okay? And that's a really important thing to know, is that one of the things you're going to want to do if you want to build a scalable business is you've got to get the fuck out of the way. Because 9 times out of 10, that's what stops a scalable business from growing. So you have to, one, be able to make the choice that you're willing to hand over control. You're willing to hand over responsibilities, and you're willing to step out of the day-to-day. Okay, so that's number one. You need to know that. But, you're going to get systems in place that are going to replace all of that little flexible stuff that's been a nightmare to keep track of. So that's an upside. The third thing is you're going to probably need outside capital, either borrowing, or you're going to need to reinvest a lot of your profits into the business, which means a lot less in your pocket. And you're going to have teams. They're going to range from 10 to 20 to 50 people. If you're a business owner, you know that having teams is a whole different job for you. It's a different level of work. It brings in HR. It brings in, if you're a remote business, all of the state requirements. And it brings in you needing to be a leader, not a manager, which is a big shift for people. Okay. An example of this is, a SaaS company, a franchise, anything where you are going to have an exit strategy in the plan, like you want to leave this legacy. But here is the one that's not okay. Okay, both of those totally, I said this is a judgment-free zone, but I'm going to be judgmental here. Either lifestyle or scaling are totally good alternatives. What is not an acceptable alternative is the expensive middle ground, as I call it. In that ground, you get destroyed financially because you're trying to scale, but you're living like you have a lifestyle business. And that conflicts makes you pay yourself too much, not reinvest, deal with cash flow issues. You hire too slowly and you sit there wondering why you can't have your breakthrough. If that's you, if you're sitting there in your business going, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, I'm doing stuff myself, I'm hiring people, I'm a great leader, but I'm not making a breakthrough, it's because you have not made the definitive decision that I'm going to scale, and therefore I need to change my entire relationship with the business. I've written a great book on this called Founder to Exit that I really suggest you look at if you plan to scale, because it talks about all the things you need to change, not just about the business, but about you, if you're going to make that type of business work. So those are the three options, two that I fully accept and one that I think I would steer away from if I were you. So let's look at kind of the financial reality check around the two different options. And numbers are what matter, right? Feelings aren't going to pay the bills, but both of these have to do with how you feel about the different businesses. So let's take a lifestyle business. I'm going to give you some target numbers for a lifestyle business to think about. You're going to target around 40 to 60% profit margin, right? That's huge because you don't have a lot of fixed costs that you have to put in place. Your owner's comp, what comes to you, is going to be 30 to 50% of the revenue. That's pretty good. You have $1 million business, that's 300 to 500,000 to you. The team's going to be very lean, often just a couple contractors. Your reinvestment in the business is going to be smaller. So instead of leaving, 50% of your profit in the business to grow, you only have to leave 10 or 20% in the business to make sure that you cover inflation, cover increased healthcare costs, all those kind of things. And your cash flow is going to be a lot smoother and a lot more predictable. Why? Because there are fewer variables. I mean, it's that simple. Fewer variables and fewer expenses. So what's a good action step to take here to kind of think about your lifestyle business? Figure out what your actual hourly rate is for the money you're taking home in your pocket and decide if that's worth it. So in your lifestyle business, if you've got $1 million business and you're taking home $300,000 and you're working, say, a third of a year, instead of working a full year, you're working a third of a year, figure out how many hours that is just for, I'm sorry, not a third of a year. Let me back up. For a lifestyle business, you want to figure out what your actual hourly rate is and decide if that's worth it. So you want to calculate how many hours you're working in a year. In a normal year, full-time, it's 2,080 hours. So if you're working 20 hours a week, which is basically half a year, that's going to be 1,040 hours. So take however much money you're actually putting in your own pocket, divide it by that 1,040 hours, and you'll get what your hourly rate is. And then you can decide, is that worth it to me? That's a really good way to know if you're happy with your lifestyle business. Now, if you're going to scale a business, the economics are completely different. Instead of that profit margin of 40 to 60, you're going to see a profit margin of more like 10 to 20% in the business. Your comp is going to drop significantly as a percentage. You're going to get around 5 to 15% in owner's comp via salary or owner's distribution. Your team's going to grow constantly. You're going to have full-time employees, and you're going to have all the issues and the challenges that go along with having a large staff. And your cash flow is going to be lumpy, it's going to be stressful, and it's going to really need serious management. And I will tell you from my knowledge in working with a lot of scaling businesses, it needs process changes. You're going to need to implement systems that cost money. You're going to need to start doing all those things that are annoying as piss to you, like having really good receipt management, like making sure that when your business is doing estimates, we're getting those documented and that they're standardized and that you can make sure that they can be turned into invoices that can be collected. All of those stupid little details that brilliant CFOs bring in and tell you we need to put in place to scale are exactly what you need to start thinking about. Hey, I'm Pam Pryor, and I'm so glad you're listening to our podcast. I want to let you know about two different things that we offer and that may or may not be suited for you right now, but I want you to know they're there. We have an option for folks who really only need a touch base every now and then, need to ask some questions, need to have a office hours where they can come in and say, hey, I've got a specific question, can you help me? Hot seats and a community. That is our offering called KISS, which is the Keep It Simple Squad. And you can join us for $100 a month. That's it, $100 a month. And if you're one of the first 100 to join, you are also going to be a founding member for life at that rate. I love that part of my business. I get to spend time with all sorts of different entrepreneurs and address all sorts of questions. And the really cool thing is in that group, very often one person will dare to ask a question that plenty of other people want to hear the answer to. So it ends up being very useful. There are flexible office hours. We also have some events that we get together for, etc. But take a look at that group. We'll have the link for it down here. It's the Keep It Simple Squad. The other thing we have is a clarity call. And this is a high-end offer. And if you're ready for a high-end offer and the decisions about your business or financially, then I want you to take a look at this link. It explains itself, but it is basically me holding your hand with you for 90 days to drive exactly what you need financially in your business, and then making sure that it is sustainable for you, whatever the path for your business is and for you personally. So our link's down there for the clarity call at all. Please feel free to grab either one of those that makes sense for you. If you have any questions about it, drop me a DM, drop it in the comments to this podcast, and we will be sure to get back to you. Thanks. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming. So here's another way to address what that business might look like for you. Map out like a cash flow for the next 12 months in that kind of business and be very realistic about it. Here's what I'm going to have to spend. Here's the revenue I think I'm going to get. Assume 30% growth, because if you put this kind of work into a business you're seriously going to scale, you want to grow significantly. So let's pull 30% out of the air. How are you going to fund it? You know you're going to need to spend money to get there. Make a list about how you think you're going to fund that. Are you going to borrow money? Are you going to put more of your own money in? Are you going to keep the business money in the business to do that? Okay? And then, do you want that? So compare those two things, right? Compare that 30 to 50% of revenue going into your pocket in fewer hours of working to only getting 5 to 10% of your revenue and really building out a business. Both of those are really cool options. And the cool thing about building out the business and scaling it is ultimately you get to sell it. And if you sell it, it's for a lot more money than you've been making over the last few years. So there's that huge upside to the scaling of your business. If it's a scalable business, that is really important to think about. But what I will tell you about scaling is you really need to take a look at that book or some other book on scaling, because you need to understand that your role fundamentally as a founder is going to change drastically. And you really want to take a peek at what those changes are and if they're things that you still want to be doing. Because it's very different to run a scaling business. What the work that you do as the founder is very different than the work that you did to get the business to where you start to scale. So just be really aware of that. So what's the real cost of scaling? If you're, for example, say a $750K revenue business right now, and you're running a lifestyle business and you're taking home $300,000, you're working with contractors, your life is good, and you want to scale to $3 million. Here's what that's going to actually look like. And I know this because I've done it. And I made notes so that I don't forget some of the most important pieces. You're going to need to hire 3 to 5 full-time people. And it's going to be in those non-sexy positions. You're going to need a good accounting team. You're going to need to at least outsource HR and understand it. If you're a remote business, you're going to need to outsource HR that understands working in multiple states. You're going to have to manage and lead your people. Your salary is going to drop to, say, $150K over the next couple years while you keep reinvesting money into building it. It's very likely you're going to need to borrow money, which means paying interest, or you're going to need to get investor money, be it your own or an outside investor. And your profit margin that used to be 40% going to you is going to drop to somewhere between 10 and 15%. On average, across most businesses, that's about 12% during this process. And the kicker, the hard part, you might get to that $3 million in 3 years if everything goes right, and you might be able to sell it for 3 to 5x EBITDA in 5 to 7 years. Okay, this is the kicker. This is the beautiful part. This is the part you don't get as a lifestyle entrepreneur. Okay? Or your option is lifestyle business. You stay at 50,000. You keep taking home your 3,000 a year. You work 300 hours a week. You take Fridays off. You go to your kids' ball games. You go to concerts. You do all the things you want to do to live your life. You go diving in Antigua, whatever it is. Both are really good options. One, you get to do all the lifestyle stuff today. Two, you get to do all the lifestyle stuff after you sell the business. And this is the typical, right, question that people working and not entrepreneurs have. Do I spend my money today or do I save it for retirement? And there are so many philosophical and woo-woo questions around that. I won't even go there. So what can you do? What's a framework for you to actually go through this process and decide, right? You want to know right now so that you don't get stuck in that middle ground, which I really don't want to see happen to you. You want to know, how do I answer this question? So question one is, write this down, and we'll put it in the notes so you have it. What do you want your life to look like in 5 years from now? And I know that's a trite question, but I ask you to treat it with a little respect and not treat it as a trite question. It's been a question people ask themselves over and over again. It's been a question people advise about for a really good reason. If your answer includes something like, I'm on a beach while my business runs itself, that's a lifestyle business. If your answer is, I'm managing a team of 50 people, we're about to open our 10th location, I love it, I'm fired up, I'm building something that doesn't rely on me, it relies on my team and on my processes, and we're going to sell this thing in 5 years for 5x of EBITDA, then you're really looking at something that wants to be a scalable business. Okay? Question number 2. Are you building something that can sell? And this is my most important point in the Founder to Exit book. In a lifestyle business, your business is your job, okay? It's an interactive job. It's your own job. It's a lucrative job. You control your time, but it's a job, okay? And from your proceeds, you put money away for retirement so that you can stop whenever you want to stop. And that's what you will live off in the future. If you scale, your business is an asset separate from you. And that's how you need to start looking at it, okay? It's an asset separate from you, and your job now is to grow the value of that asset, so you can sell it later for a lot of money, which is your retirement fund, okay? So here's the third action step. Here's your action step for this. I want you to ask yourself, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, does this business survive without me? If it does, you're building a scalable business. If it doesn't, it's a lifestyle business, okay? And you had a good lifestyle because you built it that way. All right, here's question 3. What does the market want, right? It depends on your business. So some businesses can't scale. If your personal one-on-one services, you're not going to really scale massively. If you're a local business that's not going to do something like franchise or create other locations, you're not going to be a scalable business. Some businesses should not be a lifestyle business. Tech businesses, SaaS businesses in particular, are not meant to be lifestyle business. There's a ton to maintain SaaS. Don't kid yourself. If you're creating an app, if you're using AI to create a learning model, if you're doing any of those things, it is not going to be a lifestyle business for you. It's going to be a scalable business, and you're going to need the people and the infrastructure to run it. Franchises as well is another thing. If you want to create franchises, then you're going to be doing a scalable business. So a couple of examples. I had a client who ran an executive coaching practice, about $400,000 in revenue. Was plenty for her. Her life was great. She then went to try and scale it with other coaches. The revenue went to $800,000. Her take-home pay dropped to $150,000. She was managing people she didn't want to manage, and we unwound the whole thing because that happens a lot too. People start to go down the scaling path and then hit that point. They're like, shit, I don't need all this trouble. I just want to be able to enjoy my life. Now she's back to $400K and loving her life. Okay. I have an opposite story too. I have a woman who hit, I think it was $1 million. And she said, nope, I'm not happy here. I want to scale to 10. And when we got to 10, she said, I'm not happy here. I'm going to scale this to 100 million. Well, she had a mission that involved affecting hundreds of thousands of women, and in ways that are incredibly important to them. And she felt a mission and a passion to make sure that she did everything she could to get that to reach as many people as possible. Okay, so that's another reason to build and scale a business. And she absolutely loves it. Yes, she's doing things that are completely different than she did when it was $1 million business. And yes, it's a lot more work and she's taking home a lot less money, but she's building her passion and she will be able to exit that business when the time comes for a really large multiple. So those are the kind of the different pieces. So how do you make the choice? You can kind of change your mind at any point in time, but you can't change it every week. You can't live in that middle zone. If you're going to choose lifestyle, here are kind of your set of action items. Optimize your profit margin, optimize your efficiency for that smaller business. Get rid of your bad clients aggressively. We were just talking about firing clients this morning. If they're a bad client, you've got a lifestyle business, you're doing this to enjoy your life, get rid of them. They're not worth it financially and they're not worth it emotionally. Two of the most key wealth objectives, in my opinion. Raise your prices. Got a lot of videos in here, got a lot of podcasts on pricing. Raise your price to reflect your value. Got to happen. Use contractors, not employees, because then you can kind of have this little cushion that can grow and shrink as you need to, as you grow and shrink with your various clients. Invest in any systems that save your time. You don't have a lot of money to invest in systems, granted, but if you can put something in place that's going to save some of your time, especially with AI now, do it. Invest in those. And then take your money home and live your life. That's it, okay? If you're going to choose to scale, here's the deal. You need to be ready to hire before you're ready, before you can afford it, right? This is why you need credit. This is why you need investment. You need to be able to hire. You need to know how to hire correctly. You need to hire for your culture, and you need to hire for talent. And you need to do it before you need them, because you have to get them up to speed. They have to understand your processes, and you have to get them operating as quickly as you can. Accept the fact you're going to have lower margins for a few years, and raise whatever capital you need to, which means you need a forecast, which means you need a CFO, which means you need to read my book. And I'm not hawking this book because I want you to buy it. You actually DM me and I'll send you a free copy of it. You need to know what you need to do, and you need to have a forecast in place so you know how much money you're going to need to scale this business. And then become a CEO, not a practitioner. The hardest thing in the world is to become your own CEO and not a practitioner of what you do best, be it sell things or coach or advise, okay? And here's the one everybody hates, but it's a little easier now with AI. You need to document everything. I'm working on this with a client now who's about to scale from 10 million to next year it'll be 40 million, and year after that it's likely going to be 80. It is a nonstop business model that is always going to be required, which is great. There's no market that can disappear for this business, but I am putting them through the throes of documenting everything now. Truth be told, much easier to document with AI. We take a couple pictures of what we're doing. We do a process map, which can be generated by AI. We get all the procedures aligned with that process map, and they're off to the races. So documentation, as much as it's got a bad connotation, it's not anywhere near as hard as it used to be. So, but you got to do it, okay? So what are your 2 action steps depending on which route you're going to go? If you want to go a lifestyle business, what I want to do is calculate what I call your lifestyle number. What do you need to have in your pocket every year to live the life you want to live and put away the money that you want to put away so that you can continue to live that life after you're retired? And that's what I work on with my lifestyle clients, right? If you're going to choose to scale, what's your action step? And please, please, please listen to this if you want to scale, or you'll be stuck in that unhappy middle. Create a 3-year financial model. You need to show how fast you're going to grow, what you need to do to grow to that speed, to grow to that size at that speed, and to know when you're going to be profitable again, when you're going to need debt, when you're going to be able to pay off debt, and to evaluate whether that business model is even feasible. Trust me on that. If you can't stomach the numbers you see when you do that, then you're not ready. Now, that doesn't mean you're never going to scale. It just means you're not ready right now. But you really need to do that 3-year forecast. Okay, again, all that in the book, Founder to CFO, or Founder to Exit. Okay, what permissions do you need? And not that you need permission from me, but I'm going to give it anyway. You're allowed to choose a lifestyle business. You're allowed to make $1 million a year, work 30 hours a week, and not want to build an empire. That is completely valid choice. The business industrial complex will tell you that you're not ambitious enough. Screw that. If you're making great money and living the life you want to live, you've already won. Okay? The industrial complex is caught up in its own shit. All right? And you're allowed to choose to scale. You're allowed to want to build something big, a legacy, something that's going to need some venture money, that's going to cause you to work 70 hours a week for 5 years. I did that for a while. I love it. All right? And then you can sell it for life-changing money. That is also valid, because then you can do whatever you want with your life-changing money. And you may have a mission in life that you want to fulfill, be it for yourself, your family, or for others. You have a right to do that, and it's a great choice. What's not okay, what I don't give permission for, if you care, is being in that in-between ground and pretending that you're not in that in-between ground. Because that's where you're going to waste money, you're going to burn out, and you're going to build something nobody wants. In fact, I can tell you that if you are in a position where you feel like you're wasting money, you're burning out, and nobody wants your business, it's because you're in that middle ground. You haven't decided, I'm a lifestyle business. You're just going minute after minute after minute. And I will tell you that I was stuck in that spot for a couple of years. And it's costly in every way. It's costly financially. It's costly personally. It's costly emotionally. And then finally saying, okay, what am I going to do here? I actually chose 2 different things, and I'm doing one with one and one with the other. But I know what I'm doing now. I chose it, and it's so much easier, and it's so much more, I'm so much more energetic and aligned and positive about the business at this point. So here we are. Let's do a quick wrap up. I've got homework for you. I always have homework. Number 1, answer honestly. What do you want that life to look like in 5 years? Number 2, can you afford to scale? Okay, that's what the forecast is about. Number 3, check the market. For my business, does it even make sense to scale? And then make your decision. It's a lifestyle or scale, and commit to that for at least 18 months. Okay, you can change your mind, but don't change it every day. Don't change it every week. Don't change it every 3 months. Commit to whichever choice it is for 18 months to give yourself a really good minimum viable product to speak, something that you can actually use to evaluate if it's for you or not. And then at that point, make a yes, this is for me, or a hell no decision. But don't waffle in between, okay? And then build your financial model based on whichever one you pick. And remember, you can change your mind, but pick one of the strategies, fund it properly, forecast it properly. Don't half-ass a dual type decision, okay? I'm Pam. This is the Cash Flow Podcast. Go make some money, make some choices, and stop pretending you're building something you're not. I'm going to see you next week.